Don't make the mistake of thinking this is just another self-help podcast. It's not. This is still a hot mess.
Where we ask the question, is self-help helping? Every episode we discuss, debate, and often diss an aspect of the self-improvement movement.
Drawing from our own experiences and talking with personal growth experts, we want to know, is it all too much? Has it gone too far? Is it making us even more neurotic? Is this self-help or self-help?
You make a mess of me.
All right.
Well, hello, Fanson.
Hello. Guess where we're at?
Where are we?
We are at our season 1 review.
Oh, and we're at the pod plant.
And we're at the pod plant.
Yeah, here we are, the end of season 1.
Amazing.
And we can call this like a bit of a review and finale.
It's like just taking a walk back down memory lane.
Yeah,
to
like
sort of say, where have we been? What was the journey?
Closure.
What have we discovered?
What have you learned, Fanson? And what do I regret?
Basically, it's Cole's notes. It's a recap for those of you who've tuned in or you're tuning in for the first time. Here's a little Cole's notes on what we've done so far.
Yeah, maybe you've maybe not listened to all of them, and you'll go back now and check out some because we've talked about it here today on this episode.
Well, and our purpose for this podcast is to say,
Why are we here, Fanson?
It is to say and possibly show that it's okay to be a hot mess.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
if we haven't made that abundantly clear, I don't know what else we could possibly do.
Like,
I have a few ideas, actually.
I really do hope that as we've released these episodes, women, and of course, if men are listening,
if you're tuning in,
just
guys,
to be okay with not having it all together.
Yeah.
Because certainly you don't have it together.
I do not.
And I don't either.
Well,
but
no, you don't.
And I think that's important to note that to be human is to be messy. So still a human, we could call this.
Right. Still a human, but hot mess is sexier.
Totally.
Because we're sexy. Mm-hmm. So, okay, we've discussed the history of self-help.
Yes, we tried to cover it all.
We covered a lot. We really did. Like, we went all the way back to, like, I think 2500 AD, BC. I don't know when it was. Where did we start?
That was definitely AD.
We started with like a letter from a father to a son, I think it was. But man, we covered the gamut. We did. So if you didn't know anything about self-help, I think that our second episode really focused on as much of the history as we could cover in the amount of time we thought people would listen.
Exactly. Like, we are aware that we did not speak of everyone. No, that's an entire podcast.
You bet.
In itself. So yes, we hit the kind of what we thought were the big markers, and it was an abridged history. We've
also we've talked about jargon. We've talked about self-help jargon. We did that in a very recent episode, actually, just all of the terms that are used in the self-help industry today.
Yeah, and then have kind of seeped into our own language, our own vernacular, as I find myself.
Well, we've evolved.
We have evolved, and so much of it resonates with me.
Yes.
And so I find myself mindful,
right,
in these moments when I speak these words. Anyway.
Yeah,
so we definitely
we covered that stuff. We've talked about manifesting.
Yes,
and got into quite a debate about that one.
Quite a debate, Fanson.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know who won, but really, it's not about winning or losing over here.
Sure
it is,
isn't.
But whatever, that's fine.
It's about the love. But that's a very interesting episode where you and I really do see things differently and come at that topic in a different way. So,
which is why we're here also. Mm-hmm. We've covered the shame associated with not getting it right. Not like having it all or, as we just said, like it's messy, right? So the shame associated with not getting it right, even though you may have read all the books.
Oh, sure. I mean, as you consume self-help or, strive to be better, that inner critic, right? That inner critic is just waiting.
Yeah. All right, smart guy.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with this now?
To put you down or
I'm going to go have a glass of wine.
Or beat you up when you, I guess, fall short in any way as you're trying to be better.
Right.
So interesting. As we have said, it's the ironic downfall of the self-improvement movement.
Exactly. We've debated passion and purpose. Mm-hmm. We really dug into that one quite a bit to understand what is passion, what is purpose, and how are these things working for us? How are they working against us? We've said fuck it a lot.
Well, we certainly said it a lot in that one episode.
Yes.
Where we explored what we, I think, debated even, is it a revolution? Is it a movement?
Right.
Yeah. The fuck it revolution or movement.
Sometimes we might get into semantics a little bit.
A little bit.
But I think the language matters.
Well, yes, it does.
It does. So there's the fuck it revolution, mission, movement, whatever.
Well, I think it is what we could consider an anti-self-help movement in a way.
I guess it's funny calling it anti-self-help or
when
anti-self-help.
It's still a self-help book.
Yeah. But anyway. But we'll talk more about that. Like this whole idea that maybe we needed this whole self-help movement to move into what you and I are talking about, which is, well, it's not just you and I, there are people out there who are saying it's the discomfort. It's the leaning into the discomfort. But again, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Rather than just seeing everything through this rosy pair of lenses. I would have to say the pendulum is swinging now.
Yes. Yeah.
To another side.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And we've been on it.
Oh yeah. I like it though. I actually like where it's going.
Yes, me too. Let's see what else. We went down the rabbit hole with meta feelings, which turned into a drinking game for our listeners.
Yes. We said feelings quite a bit that episode. And
every time we said feelings, take a drink.
Yeah. I think that's a highlight for me, that one.
Yeah.
I really liked that topic.
I did too.
Yeah. The fact that we, judge our so-called negative feelings and therefore experience, some other sort of negative feeling, like, I don't know, shame, guilt, embarrassment.
Feeling on top of feeling.
Yeah. We are now, and I heard
we didn't have enough feelings to begin with. Now we have more feelings on top of those feelings. Thank you, self-help.
I heard on a podcast that we are the very first generation to have feelings about our feelings. Now, of course, we can debate that, and we would, get out.
But we discuss how we feel about that.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But so anyway, and self-help, I think self-improvement plays a role in that.
For sure.
I think that's why we're now judging, things like fear to be negative, and then of course.
Well, and that is the self-awareness. So,
feeling.
I mean, we're certainly not blaming it on self-help solely on the industry. We're just saying, we live in times where there's an increased awareness, as is always. We're always learning more and discovering more about ourselves. But these feelings about our feelings are somewhat new.
Oh, sure. But, I think when we have an industry that is emphasizing the power, the importance of happiness, and I don't know, joy and peacefulness. And so when we feel something other than those things, we're gonna have some feelings about that.
Yeah.
Right. We're judging it.
Right. So we've talked to experts like Louisa Jewell.
Oh yes, Louisa. Louisa was all about resiliency and self-esteem, self-confidence. That was a great interview.
Yeah. She was amazing. Very bright. Very intuitive. What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
She just, like real tuned in, so much self-awareness. And
I thought Louisa did a very good job at pointing out where the self-loathing can arise. I thought she connected a lot of dots in terms of how we feel about ourselves. So if you haven't heard that episode, I think it's a great one.
It's a good one, yeah. Kelly Elson on spirits and spirituality.
Psychic, medium, sensation, and energy expert Kelly Elson. That was a very cool interview.
Yeah, I think she had me hypnotized during that episode, because when I listened to the episode later, I was like, damn, that girl is good.
Yeah, Kelly, so wise, so grounded. Even her voice.
Yep.
Just makes me think everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Very soothing.
The things she knows.
Yeah. Real spiritual warrior, and lots to learn from her in that episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dr. Julia MacArthur.
My cousin, Dr. Julia. Yeah, that was fun.
I pitched my mental health year idea, which I think only you were on board for. I don't think she was very keen on that, to be honest.
Well, okay, so Julia's a therapist.
Yes.
And so I guess Julia's concern with your idea of kind of putting people into therapy when they, reach 18 or 19?
don't put them into therapy. Let's have a mental health year where you get to sort your stuff out
Right.
with an unbiased listener. I think she thought that was going to put blame on parents because she thinks parents are doing the best job that they can. And I'm just saying, look, it's accountability across the board, but it's a chance to take time out to really get to know what you think about
I never even
yourself and the world.
Yeah, I never really considered the parental part of that initiative. Shall we call it your initiative?
Yes.
But I love the concept of when you're young, sitting there and looking back at the formative years and connecting some dots. And I was all for that. I think Julia's one concern was how open people would be if they didn't choose to do it for themselves. Like if it was a bit of a program, like, hey, it's time, it's your therapy year.
Right.
How effective it would be if they weren't fully, buying into it. And that's a fair concern, but
it's a totally fair concern. But if you look at it in terms of like, this is just what we do. We take a mental health year as opposed to, no, you go to therapy. It's not about that.
Oh yeah. I think that'd be a culture shift. And like I said to you in that episode, me who dealt with mental illness in early 20s, I think that would have helped me a lot.
Yep. Yeah. I think whether it's, a case of depression or some sort of mental illness or just a check-in after you've absorbed for your entire childhood.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that was a cool episode because we got to hear what like a therapist thinks of self-help.
Yeah.
And of course, get an inside look at what it's like to be a therapist.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't get to talk with therapists very much. So
no, and she specializes with children right now. And I know she mentioned the discomfort, leaning into the discomfort and to stop fixing our kids and instead just saying, that sucks when they're in their hole. I think she described it, which was interesting. It was an interesting episode about butts and holes, as I recall. You got to check it out.
You got to get into the hole with them.
Yeah.
Oh, right. And then the use, getting rid of the word but and replacing with because. But that is all explained better in the episode.
You have to listen to the episode. You had to be there. And so after discussing it outside the podcast, you and I both sort of agreed that the self-help movement is about fixing ourselves, which in fact implies we are broken. And maybe that's contributing to our self-loathing and perpetuating the need for more self-help and therefore increasing profit toward an already $13 million industry.
Well, you've made the point that we're now like parenting ourselves.
Yes.
Through self-improvement and self-help and perhaps other things. And so is this an industry? Is this a movement that is, again, trying to fix us rather than validating us, validating our struggle and pain and maybe encouraging us more to accept our messy selves.
Right. But which is why I also think maybe we did need this whole movement in order to move on to the next phase, which is, okay, we've increased the awareness. We've looked at our feelings. We've said, some things need fixing. Well, everything needs fixing. But then now what? Right?
I guess this is
realignment yet again.
I guess this is a natural stage that when something is born, when something is created, at one point you have to step back and go, okay, so now what's maybe the potential downfalls?
Yeah. Is this still working for us? Has it gone too far?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I, for one, you know me, I'm the junkie. I certainly have had a great awakening to the need now to examine it more and be more discerning and to acknowledge that maybe we just need to be okay with ourselves.
Yeah. Amazing.
And really.
Well, and this is also just from our own journey doing this podcast, the things that you and I have discovered from our opposite ends of the self-help spectrum, right? But it's not all bad. We did attend Yale.
Oh, you know what? When the pandemic hit, we just thought to ourselves, let's go to Yale online. Take a free course.
Yeah.
The Science of Well-Being.
Yeah.
By Dr. Lori Santos.
She's great. She's got a big chair.
And big hair.
Anyway.
But, it would be great to have Lori Santos on the show one day. Maybe that's going to be one of our dreams.
Oh, that'd be great.
We'll have to get a bigger chair, of course.
Yeah.
A
suitable chair.
Something grander than what
this chair says experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And happiness.
Anyway, that was a very cool course.
Yeah, it was.
To really understand what causes happiness.
Yeah.
And I think it debunked a lot of myths.
It did. It very much about what we think will bring us happiness. That was one of the main things we both took away from that is like, wow, we really do put our focus in the wrong places for results that we're never going to get.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then the episode, I guess, it highlights the things that we learned from Yale that, that mess with our happiness, that, compromise our level of contentment. So yeah, check it out if you're kind of into that science of happiness.
Well, we've certainly covered some ground.
Oh, absolutely, Franson.
Yeah. And we recognize that the self-help movement exists because we're all trying to be better or to be our best, or at the very least, make it look like we are.
Well, I mean, certainly the self-improvement movement has gained us a certain amount of momentum that now are we just doing it for the gram? Are we just ticking off, an item on the to-do list? Are we just keeping up with the neighbors? Mm-hmm. Am I going to yoga because everyone else is? Mm-hmm. It's interesting. What's the motivator? What's the drive to be better?
Mm-hmm. Which is, again, is that the comparison factor?
Yeah, competitiveness.
Competitiveness is that part of
your presence on
what
social
makes that
media?
occur? Yeah.
Are you protecting a personal brand? or trying to create one? If
you are a brand.
Yeah,
you're a brand, baby.
So, yeah.
I mean, we've learned that as humans, we don't seem to want to be with the discomfort. So I bring that up again, that we want to numb the pain. But we're also seeing that that's not working, that in fact, the opposite is true. Everything isn't positive all the time, and you're not failing if you can feel that.
Well, I mean, certainly the psychology world would tell you the first step to healing or being better is to be okay with pain and to actually move through it rather than numbing out with the myriad of things that are available to us.
It could be anything,
including that book. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I can point out one goal for us now as we, catch the pendulum swinging, is can we just be okay with how things are, whether it's what we're feeling emotionally or what's going on in our lives.
Well, it's definitely an interesting time in the world. When we're talking about this,
here we are,
and just being the way things are. Like, yeah, there's a lot to accept. There's a lot of things that need fixing, but out in the world, not necessarily where the focus is all so much on self, and we come together, we transform, we're less alone through our suffering. It's not that it's not that we suffer. It's how we choose to manage that shit, like, what are we willing to suffer for in terms of life purpose, but also suffering in general, that it's not about not suffering. It's about meaningful suffering. Mm-hmm.
Oh, suffering is an interesting word that comes up in self-help. As I've come to understand over the years is suffering is actually what we experience as we argue with our pain, when we push our pain away, when we wish it to not exist, that then creates suffering. It's interesting. I wonder if there's actually more than one way we can interpret this word.
Word, yeah.
There's my personal suffering, but then there is
the world suffering.
Yeah. And I know that we as individuals, okay, like I'm going to get a little woo-woo here with my self-help, but like, I don't think we really heal our own suffering until we have healed the collective suffering. We're always going to suffer if we know that others are suffering. Okay, well that should have been a drinking game.
Suffering.
How do I feel about that? Anyway,
but then that sort of implies that life is suffering, because will there ever come a time when we talk about world peace and the end of suffering? Is that possible? Well, until there is proof of that, then collectively there is suffering.
Well,
yeah. I mean, about meaningful suffering, I think that's an interesting term. But on the other hand, like, unless you know about Landmark, like Landmark is I guess a self-help kind of organization type movement thing.
What is it? What's it? NPL? That's the basis that they...
Yeah, I think so.
The neural...
Something like that.
NPL.
Want to look it up?
Yeah.
And that philosophy is life is empty and meaningless, but it's okay that it's empty and meaningless because it's empty and meaningless that it's empty and meaningless.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Many drinking games here in this review. Yeah, and I've Googled NPL and I'm getting a lot of different things here.
What are you getting?
Oh, I've got NPL Canada, Utility Construction Services.
Whoops. No, I don't think so. But there is a sort of construction to it of the mind.
I need to use the acronym to then understand what the P stands for. But you know what I'll do? If you could just hear me type away.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. It's like we're all in real time together here.
Yep. I know it's neurolinguistics. Oh, is it NLP? Neuro-linguistic programming. Well, we're just now trying to figure something out right here in the show.
We sure are. Quite honestly, I was just looking up Landmark and I keep getting cinemas. So it's the Landmark Forum is where you begin, and they have many programs.
I think we got it. Neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, is all about bringing about changes in perception, responsible communication, developing choices of responses or communication in a given situation. Yeah, there we go.
The quality of people's relationships, the confidence with which they conduct their lives, the level of their personal productivity, the experience of the difference they make, the degree to which they enjoy their lives. So all of that.
No wonder I couldn't find it. It's
just empty and meaningless.
I had switched the order of the L and the P.
Oh,
it's NLP.
Well, I couldn't help you there.
I think a lot of self-help books include this, this kind of thinking, this framework. As I see it, I think, oh, that's most books in some way. So.
Yeah, but that being said, we realize the whole thing, our whole experience is in our heads, right? All of this. And we can actually choose what and how we think. And this is what we discovered even just going back through the history of self-help. They've been saying it since the beginning of time. Definitely the Stoics addressed the nature of how we think.
Yes. I mean, we don't see things as they are. We see things as we are.
Yes. And the responsibility is 100% on us.
So yeah, okay, yeah.
And so there's nothing wrong that self-help is trying to offer us a good life. There's nothing wrong with that. Less suffering or gratitude for what you have, acceptance for what is, self-knowledge, self-care. But there's no doubt that it can make us self-obsessed, possibly. Like there's a lot of self-interest in all of that. And maybe that's what, as we were talking about earlier, that's what we needed. But maybe it doesn't feel true anymore. It seems we need to realign our focus with each other and doing for others.
Oh yeah, I think at this point we would do well to put the book down or shift away from all of this self-involvement, self-reflection, because it is at a high at this point. And I just wonder, how much better we would feel if we just went out, like you said, go dancing. Well, not right now because there's a pandemic, but
you can still dance.
When we yes, I mean, yeah, you can just dance or help someone or, just somehow make a contribution, make a positive impact on the life of your neighbor, your friend, someone like, yeah. Just maybe, they've got that movement from me to we. Of course, that doesn't really accurately describe what I'm talking about, but I like the mantra from me to we.
Yeah.
Can we just maybe...
It's catchy.
Yeah. Can we, in a way, could we find this fulfillment, this peacefulness, this happiness by through community and just giving of ourselves more. And I'm not talking about making it rain. I mean, sure, you can donate and maybe that will increase your level of satisfaction. But this is about being, I think, generous,
connected,
generous of your time or your energy. So it doesn't always have to be,
I think, connection to community is essential for a feeling of purpose. I really think it's not something you can do alone.
And the Science of Well-Being course did teach us that long-term happiness comes out of things like making a contribution and taking care of yourself, like focusing on your well-being and the well-being of others, and social interaction.
Yeah.
Those are the three biggies.
That if you're watching a show, typically people like to take the commercial break rather than watching all the way through.
This is what we've discovered.
Let's take a little break. Ready? Go.
Okay.
And life is never rough, nothing to prove. I'm playing off the cuff. You took my hand and made a mess of me.
Okay, I think that's enough. I think that was a long enough break.
It felt
like hours.
I feel rejuvenated. I'm a new woman.
A lot happened in that break.
If only it got cooler in here.
Here we go again.
In that break. Mm-hmm. Do you think Mike, who runs the pod plant, do you think he wants us to feel like a hot mess while we're in here? You know what I mean?
I think he's putting us to the test. That's for sure.
Has he taken this a little too literally?
It doesn't help that it's 40 degrees outside.
Oh yeah, no, we live in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
This week.
Yeah, all the time, every day. Thoughts of what I've learned from doing this podcast.
Oh, see, now we're getting to the good stuff.
With you, my friend, and how my perspective has shifted about the self-help movement and the self-help industry. So I believe self-help books are a way of reparenting ourselves. I don't think I made that up, but I did make it up in my own head is the point. I thought that, and other people have probably said it many times.
I've thought it was an astute
observation.
And
I wish we could all say we got it right the first time with parenting, but the reality is we don't. No matter how great and stupendous a parent you are, everybody needs a little realignment, which is why I like my mental health year idea, but whatever. Okay, I digress. I've become more aware of the industry part of self-help, like that it's generating itself.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
It's feeding off of people's need.
Mm-hmm. That's something I hadn't thought
to be better
before when you and I decided that we would start talking about this on the air. I didn't think of it from the industry side. I was just like, self-help, come on.
Yeah.
That's a lot of books.
This is an industry that would not exist if we were okay with ourselves.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
It needs insecurity.
Yeah. And fortunately, humans are insecure.
Sure.
That's partly why we're messy. And that's probably not going to go away. Like it's somehow not judging our own insecurity and others, but we do have standards and we want things to be a certain way. And, okay, then we get into expectation and all that. I don't want to go there, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh, the shoulding.
The shoulding.
Listen, why would we have one episode go by
without
shoulding ourselves?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's these lofty standards. I would almost think, God, now we feel like there's like all these rules that we're trying to follow and standards, to reach. And like you've talked about, it can be so overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Like even just the manifesting thing where I say, yeah, I used to daydream. Then they took that away and they said, here's how you have to do it.
Now
I'm like, come on.
Clear steps.
Yeah. Here's what I have to do it right. Well, okay. I'm obviously going to mess that up.
Well, that's okay.
Mm-hmm. The more I'm okay with where I'm messy, the more I'm okay.
Where I find some self-loathing can come in is when I realize, I don't do it enough.
Mm-hmm.
I actually may feel better about these necessary steps to manifesting, but damn it, I only did it once this week.
Mm-hmm.
I hate myself.
Yeah, so now you got to do it twice next week. Like, how does it work?
Or meditating or going to yoga or anything. If it isn't a practice, a regular practice, then you can end up in that rabbit hole.
If we practiced all these things every day, we'd all be yoga instructors. We can't all be yoga instructors. Somebody's got to do a prostate exam. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we need people to do different things.
I didn't know in that moment where you were going with that. I thought you were connecting it to yoga. And I'm like, well, yeah, downward dog, you could probably do a prostate exam. No, it takes a village.
Yes.
That's what you're getting at.
That's right. It really does. So, some people don't have time to engage in all those practices every day, and they're not failing. They could be saving lives. Like, that's all I'm saying.
Can we just be like, I don't know, happy that we do it at all?
Yeah.
just, I don't know.
Hey, I have a little time to sit and clear my thoughts today. Good for me.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all.
There's so many programs saying 10 minutes a day.
Well, how am I going to master anything, though, besides those things, when I am making time for those things and not for whatever it is I want to get real damn good at? And have my children and be good to my friends and socialize as I'm a social being, as a human being. I need time to be messy so I can go back and go, oh, look at what you did.
Yeah. So I think sometimes there's just a very rigid nature to these ideas that it has to be, part of our regular lifestyle. And I don't know if that's realistic. And maybe that's one of the real downfall of the self-improvement movement, is that we are setting ourselves up for a sense of failure because these are unrealistic standards, expectations. Really?
Yeah. Well, and self-help promotes finding...
Get to it when I can. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh. I think self-help promotes finding motivation first. And I think I believe in action first. Action inspires. Motivation means you're moving.
Totally agree.
I
totally agree.
I can't say I can substantiate that with I don't have a slew of clients where I can say, here's how I know this is true. I can just say I've experienced life and here's what I think is true. But
I have to say that I have been drawn to the self-help books that really help me to change my mind about things more, that's focused on perspective. But when you get somebody like Rachel Hollis, and we will be discussing
we're going there, Rach.
Rach is getting her own episode.
Not today, Rach. but when you least expect it.
We're coming for you, girl. When you're down, we're going to kick you while you're down.
Oh, yeah.
No.
No.
But
come on.
No. But when you do read something written by Rachel Hollis, like Girl Wash Your Face, now I'm reading a book about all the things I should be doing every day for half an hour at a time, all this kind of real rule mongering, if you want to call it that. And that I just it just does not work for me. I have anxiety reading this book.
Is there a book called We're All a Bunch of Jerks?
That's
my book. That's got to be my book.
You got to write a book.
We're all a bunch of jerks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are, though.
We are. If you don't know that you're a jerk, then that's the problem.
Oh,
you hear that?
You got a text, girl.
Just the universe.
It's Rach. It's Rach. She wants you to wash your face. Anyway,
I just think if, you got to know. You got to know that you're a jerk. You got to know your kids are jerks. You got to know that. It's okay. Just manage it. Manage your jerkiness.
Well, say you're sorry if you screw up and dust yourself off and start again.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Yeah. I another thing is I feel validated in terms of my belief that it's an industry that's saturated. So I know I've certainly alluded to that, and I've probably said it, but just in terms of what I've gotten out of this experience doing this with you so far, I feel validated. It's saturated.
And I have just contributed to the noise. But as I read Rachel Hollis, one thing that I think I feel all right about is that my books just kind of toss out ideas. They don't ram them down
preachy.
People's throats.
No.
I really... Oh, God.
Yeah. I mean...
I hope and pray that my books make people laugh and maybe think a little bit, and that's where we leave it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so...
Your book's so far. I mean, and who knows what you're going to create from here. And it can only get richer based on this experience and all the stuff you continue to do. So
it's interesting that you mentioned that today because over the last few days, I've really gained a lot of clarity about how this podcast has influenced how I feel about self-improvement. And of course, being an author of self-help, I'm like, oh, the next one is going to be very, very different.
Yeah. I'm excited to
perhaps might be my version of Fuck It.
Actually, I might actually read it. I should say.
I appreciate your honesty. No, I really do think for season 2, Fanson is going to read or skim. You don't have to read all
We're
of it.
going to do an episode on you.
Just skim.
We will. We're going to do an episode on you for sure. For sure.
Well, not me. There's the books.
Well, all of it. You are your books, or you were. You're different now. You've evolved.
Yeah, we can
I don't
we
know.
we can do a check mark. This is a good drinking game. When you read it, how many times I roll my eyes.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
That'll be fun.
Good times.
Yeah, that should be a video podcast. You'll be on the floor by the end of it. But I have read some self-help books since we started this.
Yes.
All that time ago. And I still believe that a lot of them are personal memoirs versus any real, science, which I prefer.
Okay.
I like the ones on mindset. I like, I do like Brene Brown as a, I guess, is she a guru? Would we consider her one of our gurus on the list?
Oh, I mean,
because of her education and her experience.
I would say she would be in the top 5 influencers in personal growth right now.
Right.
Yep.
So I like to know how we tick and what makes my brain do what it does. I enjoy I enjoy reading that sort of stuff. I don't enjoy the section of the self-help movement that allows just anybody to tell everybody how to live their lives. Like their outpouring of success stories, although I appreciate their celebration of themselves. I just think it's a shame they become the how-to books, the mummy bloggers and the preacher's daughters. They are not my faves.
And when you say preacher's daughter,
guess who's?
Oh, rage.
Guess who they rage?
Yeah, I would say that it's been an interesting shift in I'd say the genre. This idea that I'm going to tell you my life story and then, what you can learn from it. I don't think this existed. I think this has really been something that's come in the last, I'd say 10 years or so.
It's just everywhere. Like all these, like I was a cocaine addict. I was an alcoholic. I went through a divorce. Like, great. That's a memoir in a way. That's like, but it's not a self-help
Yeah.
book.
I mean, I guess they're thinking my memoir, what I learned the hard way, what I went through might help you.
And I'm sure the intention is good. The intention is don't, learn what I know, see what I've been through and don't make the same mistakes or understand that, there's a better way.
I mean, I certainly do like Glennon Doyle's emphasis on, embracing one's messiness. I mean, she is a hot mess. And I love how she just bears it all.
Yeah, good. Like Rachel Hollis does not do that. She's like, oh, I'm going to tell you all this stuff and literally hair on your toes, babe. Like, oh, you lost me.
Not the most extreme form of vulnerability there. But it's an interesting shift. I kind of like it. I'm certainly open to that type of self-help book. Do you have a favorite author at this point?
It would be impossible.
Yeah, I guess you're still...
I really enjoyed, oh my goodness.
Well, I guess you like Mark Manson.
I do like Mark Manson, but again, for me, I've sort of consumed a fair bit of his stuff now, and I'm a little tired of it.
Okay.
But that's just me, right? Like I don't need that constant guru in my head. And his message is the same, and I'm on board, and that's all I need, Yeah. Who was the one that I read? Oh my goodness. The book, she read all those self-help books, and she dove into all of them and wrote about that year.
The title of the book was called Help Me.
Help Me. Yes. Shame on me for not knowing that right now.
Oh, no, come on. Let's be gentle and kind with ourselves.
Exactly. Why am I being so hard on myself?
You got to love yourself, Vincent.
I'm looking it up.
These are the imperfections.
Here we go.
It's hot in here.
Yeah.
Your memory might be going. We're staring at each other through
There's
this
a lot of things on Google about
I was going to say pane of glass, but this is just a piece of plastic. We are practicing safe pandemic podcasting here at the Pod Plant, by the way.
Yes, we are. It's Help Me, My Perfectly Disastrous Journey Through the World of Self-Help by Marianne Power.
Marianne Power. Yeah. I'm only like chapter 3, really enjoying it though.
Loved her. I really loved it. But it's not exactly here, do this. It's like, I did this and this is how it messed me up.
Yeah.
But I also liked that at the end of it,
are you going to ruin the ending?
I was thinking that to myself.
Whoa.
I was like, it's lovely how it all sort of comes together.
Spoiler alert.
I know.
Thank you for holding back there because, I will read the rest of that book.
Yeah. Dig in there. Yeah. So another thing that's happened, I've surprised myself at times with how much knowledge and information I've acquired through the seeking of my best life through both self-help in different ways than books and therapy. And as I've said from the beginning, life experience, choosing to be self-aware and paying attention.
Yep.
And I think, we all get it. We all know, we're all getting it, aren't we?
Like, are we evolving? Is that what you're saying?
Oh boy.
I know. Are you saying that we do have like a certain level of wisdom within us? And we just
think so.
Do we just need to kind of believe in ourselves a little bit more?
Yeah.
That we
don't be full of yourself.
No,
but it's
there's
okay
humility.
to say, I know this, or I understand that, or what else can I learn about that? I mean, just because I think, sometimes I have an idea about something or whatever, that's it's okay for me to be like, this is what I think right now. I don't know if that's going to be how what I'll think tomorrow, because I might learn something new by then because I'm seeking.
Yeah.
But, sometimes there's a little bit of wisdom there, and I want to be able to enjoy my wisdom. The wisdom, however much of it I have or don't have, I do want to be able to sit in it a little bit and realize that I've lived enough of life to impart something both to my children and, just to be able to let my own wisdom guide me.
I know sometimes do you think we just overthink it?
Yeah.
Like,
you think?
you want to think about it?
Yeah.
Want to overthink about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually do.
Yeah. There's just so much chatter in our brains. And if we just kind of got quiet a little bit more, not every day, don't worry. 10 minutes a day.
But if you were just out doing something, it's harder to get mucked up in your head when you're doing something.
Just kind of just listen to that little inner voice.
But the good one,
the soul,
the good voice,
not the ego.
No,
the soul.
And how do you know the difference? Well, there's a book actually that your eyes perked up.
I know. I do think if it's kind of fear based, you've got a lot of ego chatter going on.
Yeah.
And if there is more of a groundedness, peacefulness, I think you're tapping into the soul.
And look, where there's drama, where maybe you're creating drama, there's trauma. There's something you haven't really dealt with, right? I mean, you're living back there.
Yeah, that's right.
And so anyway, I've learned from the guests that we've had on the show.
Yes,
everybody's given me insight into things on a deeper level. And without doubt, your abundance of self-help knowledge and also your willingness to talk about the hot mess of it all and being vulnerable, at the very least, being open about the stuff life throws at us, that I've learned from all that.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Fancy.
Yeah.
I've learned from you as well. There's lots of times when you talk on the podcast, I'm like, oh, you know what? Good point.
Yeah,
like, that is something to think about. It is. I don't sit here and go, okay, well, that was something. I mean, there's times.
It usually comes at the tail end of a very long ramble that nobody can decipher like where she's going.
That's just you being you, though. I mean, really, it's just your way. It's all good. I mean, it's just that there are times when you have your counterpoint, whatever you want to call it, your other perspective. And I think, oh, yeah, that's something to consider.
Valid.
I'd like to say that I don't sit here thinking I have it all. No. I've just read a lot of books and then let some out. Okay. I mean, honestly, I am so driven to help myself and help others just kind of like, I don't know, lighten up and enjoy life more. And so that has involved a lot of spirituality and a lot of self-help hoo-ha. And so I'm just kind of like this junkie who's just trying to, I don't know, laugh more. And I think with self-awareness and maybe a few ideas from the self-help world, I think we can lighten up, not take things too seriously. So
the thing is we need everybody to do it. Like that's part of why being a human being is messy, because we're dealing with each other.
Oh,
right. Like it's, if you go sit under a tree and eat a fig and hang out there, you might figure some stuff out, but you still got to, if you're going to integrate, then you got to put those things into practice, and not everybody's going to be on board. that's it. It gets messy.
Like if there's any silver lining to this pandemic, it's that we haven't had to see the people we don't like.
Oh God, I'm not talking to the people I thought I would.
So I mean,
it's so weird.
Do we? Well, it's an interesting year, right? We do have a lack of triggers.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also other triggers that we haven't been dealing with, like financial strain.
Oh yeah.
But anywho, but yeah, there is, I think, a lot of those everyday triggers that have actually, not really been part of our reality since the middle of March.
Honestly, the times I've heard myself kind of bitching and complaining the most are when I've been out dealing with other people. Like amazing, right? Like, hey, no problem staying here at home. Even if I'm a little bit bored, I can always find something to do. Well, we're not here at home right now. We're in a podcast studio, but yeah, when I'm out, all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, did you see how that person looked at me? Did you see how I got cut off there? Oh, I'm supposed to do this. I'm all of a sudden just wrapped up in the drama of people.
Well, you haven't been at restaurants and you haven't been in your car as much.
And those are two big triggers for me.
I tell you. You're enjoying your peaceful existence.
I think when you go to dinner with me, you're getting dinner and a show. There's drama, there's tension.
It's a lot. Maybe, yeah. It's great value.
Is Kelly going to walk out of here being liked today?
Those were the days. Anyway. Yeah. So, this has been cool to review.
Yeah.
Did you learn anything else? Is there any other do you have any more reflections?
I don't know. I think I've covered everything I can think of. I'm very interested to know where we're going from here. Obviously, we're going to continue to do, the exploration that we've been onto, and we have, tons of content coming up. But just it's interesting to touch base with you and go, okay, this is all the stuff that we've learned. How does that change things?
So I guess to wrap up, my closing argument is that I have become hyper aware of the need or the strong desire of people to be seen and heard, and to have their struggle and their pain validated, and to, and an acknowledgement that life is tough. To be human, this human experience is very, very challenging. 2020 has just been a little reminder of that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be part of an industry that just tells people to pull up their bootstraps. I want people just to know that they're not alone. And so I think that's where my career is headed now is, I see you and I hear you.
Right.
And can we laugh?
Yeah.
So it's been quite influential for me. I'm headed in a different direction because of this show.
I still don't want a lot of people whining. I really don't. I think look, speak your mind, acknowledge all of the feelings. I've never thought differently about any of this that I'm saying right now. I think you can't spend your life whining. It is tough. It can be tough.
Yeah.
It can be a lot of other things too. And it's how you manage it. That's what you're kind of here to learn is managing that so we can all live together, in some sort of harmony as best we can. And however you do that, great. But I don't think we should be putting our, I think it's great to share our thoughts and feelings. I also think we must take care of each other. And it takes a little bit of grit to do that.
Yeah. And patience.
And patience. But kindness and patience. Yes, all those things. And grit. It takes some grit to be a human being.
Yep.
And everybody's got a story. Everybody's got stuff they're struggling with. And, and just to know that. Get out of the friggin' way and let people deal with their shit. And let's,
Embrace our messy selves.
Embrace it.
Yeah. We're all hot messes.
Did that make any sense what I just said?
I was hanging on.
You were. I can tell sometimes when you look at me and you're like, it's okay. You'll get there. No. You're saying things. And I'm like, I know I'm saying things. I'm not sure if I should be saying all this, but I think I mean everything I'm saying. And I know that I can't like go back.
Well, podcasting for me now is like thinking out loud.
Yeah.
And so, boy, every time I listen to our episode, I think, that could have been a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
Right.
Know.
But we're just sitting here. We're doing our best.
Yeah.
And
some of our best stuff comes like after we hit stop, right? And we're like, well, that was interesting. And then more stuff comes out.
But you really speak, I think, importantly about the whining and the complaining. As I say in one of my programs that focuses on change, I say, these questions, how is this happening or why is this happening? I think are the two most useless questions we can ask ourselves, only because that information isn't available right now.
Right.
You're wishing for something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So the one powerful, useful question we can ask ourselves in this pandemic or any other moment is, what will I make of it? That's it.
Absolutely.
What will I make of it?
Yeah.
And so if self-help helps you with that, wonderful.
Self-help away.
Because that is all we really got.
And teach your children well. I mean, come on.
Okay. Yeah.
Just that.
Okay.
Just that.
Well,
know that they will be seeking books in the future. Limit the budget that they're going to need for that.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, no, that when Julia spoke of our obsession with fixing our children, big aha moment, I thought, and that's why we are obsessively fixing ourselves as well.
Yeah.
We always think everybody needs to be better. And it's getting exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it does start, and
anyway.
we're not going to get too into it, but it does start like when everything starts then, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, we're not here to muscle our kids to be a certain way. We're here to learn who they are and guide them the best we can. And maybe if we, have the guts and the fortitude to do that, maybe, that instills some of that self-acceptance and grit moving forward. I don't know. I don't know anything. But anyway.
Well, it's time.
It's time
to play that game that we all love to hate. That's right. It's time to play
Name That Guru.
That's right. This is when we read 3 self-help quotes to each other and we try to identify who the hell said it.
Here we go.
All right. So I have a theme.
Yes. Oh, really? What?
Okay. So my quotes are all connected to a theme of an episode that we've done.
Oh, that is so cool.
So and I'll let you know. I'll let you know the theme.
Okay.
Sure. I don't think that's
Will
going
it
to
help me?
I don't think so.
All right. I doubt it.
Do you want me to start?
I do.
Okay. So this one is an ode to our passion and purpose episode. A more interesting question, a question that most people never consider, is what pain do you want in your life? What are you willing to struggle for? Because that seems to be a greater determinant of how of how our lives turn out.
I mean, yeah, great quote.
Now, you like this quote for a reason.
Is it Mark Manson?
It is.
Yeah, I was going to say Mark Manson, and I was like, are you making it that easy on me?
Sure. It's really warm in here.
Oh, that's kind. All right.
Will you extend to me the same compassion, gentleness?
We shall see.
We shall.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
The question is, am I?
Yes, as I sit here staring at you through this plexiglass.
It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. It's an interesting one, huh? It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it, which I think is so important.
Oh, yeah. I think we respond to our thoughts as much as we respond to our external circumstances.
Yeah.
So,
and in terms of communicating and debating and having conversations with people without it becoming ego-driven, you must accept what I think and what I say as the truth. How about...
No, I think the author of this quote is speaking to that we don't have to always accept what we think. Like we can just let our negative thoughts kind of play out like a movie and not actually attach to them.
Yeah,
I think, is that what the author is talking about in this quote?
Yeah. And also just in terms of thoughts and ideas that externally, that you can entertain a thought, an idea without accepting it fully, taking it on as truth, as your truth.
Yeah, believing that thought to be true. Now, Byron Katie talks about stress being believing our negative thoughts to be true.
I wish I could give you that.
But I feel like this could be...
You know me. I'm an oldie but a goodie, you know?
Is it an author? Is there a hint that can help me in this moment? Something...
I've done these guys. I talk about these guys a lot.
Okay.
We kind of, we go back
Plato.
a bit. One of those guys.
Plato, Aristotle.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just love the way.
No, it's good. Listen, I love
what they were thinking about then. I love the awareness.
Pretty much the birth of self-improvement, self-help, whatever you want to call it. Philosophy was the, it's the foundation. Okay, here we go. The next one is an ode to our manifestation episode.
Okay.
Pretending is the fastest way to believing, and believing is the fastest way to receiving. Now, in this episode, is
this Oprah's favorite guru?
This is a man who I receive an email from every day of the week. Monday to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Pass the salt? That guy?
No, that's Neil Pasricha, who is not into the whole manifestation world. He's more into the happiness world. That's cool. This is the little...
Oh, he's got a cute little name. And I always say to you, is he a little gnome? And
you're like, yeah, he's got a very cute little name.
Oh.
Yeah. He's really known for the thoughts. Your thoughts become things.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's Mike...
Birbiglia. No, he's a comedian. Mike Papoose?
Mike Dooley.
Dooley.
Notes from the universe. Check him out. Really, honestly, one of my favorite.
It's really not nice of me to say it like that.
Okay, next one from you.
Okay. The greatest discovery of all time is that a person can change his future by merely changing his attitude.
Okay. Author?
There it is.
Oprah?
Yeah.
Oh wow! You haven't quoted Oprah in a good long while.
But I thought it'd be
nice
sort of
throwback.
Like a nice close.
Nice throwback here as we wrap up season 1.
Yeah.
Okay. This one is an ode to our kind of what messes with our happiness, kind of our happiness theme.
Okay.
Is there a difference between happiness and inner peace? Yes. Happiness depends on conditions being perceived as positive.
Okay.
Inner peace does not.
Oh, okay. Wait, do that one more time. Say that again.
Is there a difference between happiness and inner peace? Yes. Happiness depends on conditions being perceived as positive. Inner peace does not.
What episode was this?
Tolle? Yes, it's Eckhart Tolle.
Is it?
It is Eckhart Tolle.
I heard it in my head.
Oh, Fanson.
What is happening? Oh my gosh, that's fun.
Well, you're tapping into your intuitive side.
I guess.
I don't know. Very good, though. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to give you one.
Self-help is helping you.
Okay. No, you know what?
You don't like that one?
I really...
we're just...
Hold on. I have to look this one up.
That's all right. We're just on a podcast.
That's okay. You guys can hang on there. Hold on a sec.
No problem.
Yeah. All right. Okay. You name it.
I just made a sound just so it wasn't silent. That's what I'll do from now on. I seriously did. I'm like, oh, it's been a bit silent here.
I'm just going to I just got to give you just got it. Just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called garbage can, not garbage cannot. Just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things.
I mean, it kind of sounds like Dr. Phil.
No, right? Isn't that funny? Oh, I love that. It's called a garbage can.
Susan Powder.
Not a garbage cannot.
Friggin' Tony Robbins. I don't know. I'm trying to think of all of these.
I can't
angry
honestly
people.
say this actually came out of this little puppet's mouth.
Oh God, it's Oscar the Grouch.
It is, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was so wise.
Yeah.
Motivational.
Anyway, I had to just do a real silly one to,
That was funny.
pull up the
I liked it.
end of it all. Here we go.
All right. Well, you're Kelly Fanson.
And you're done your quotes?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Really? Did you do 3?
Yeah. 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 Mark Manson, Mike Dooley, and Eckhart Tolle.
Jeez, time flies. It is fun. Yeah.
Should we try to end the episode again now?
Okay.
A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're Kelly Fanson.
And you're Susan Stewart.
And we're still a hot mess.
I'm little smooth and life is never rough. Nothing to prove.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, Purple Jade Wellness Center, for your support. Thanks also to Monkey Junk, the Juno Award-winning blues band consisting of some of the best people and musicians we know. We'd also like to thank and give a 3-minute hug, because self-help says that's more meaningful, to the Pod Plant and Mike Wixon.
And hey, why not subscribe or follow our show? And please, for the love of Oprah, give us a rating and review on your iPhone podcast app. And if you're into social media, you can find us on Instagram at Still a Hot Mess Podcast and like us on Facebook at Still a Hot Mess. And thank you, Fanson.
And thank you, Susan.
You make a mess of me. I lose control.